Hi guys, I am so excited to be back again with another YouTuber and Instagram that a person that you have to follow, and she's such a sweetheart. Her name is Natali Martinez, or the Gutsy Latina on YouTube. I am so excited to have you, Natalie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wow, I'm so excited to have you on. So I had the pleasure of being on your
Hmm.
YouTube channel, and I'm going to link that interview down below.
Yes,
It
sounds
was
good.
You make your guests so comfortable. Like, first of all, we had a cocktail like during
Yes.
during the taping, and I had my first pina colada that I've made, and it was just, I mean, I've been interviewed before on podcasts and on other channels, but you just have a way of like bringing out like your interviewer's personality, you know what I mean? And it was such a comfortable conversation that we had, that I was like, as soon as I started this series, you've been on my mind. I was like, I have to have Natalie on.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that compliment. It's truly a
Yeah.
compliment because I just feel like, I Gutsy Travel Talk is the series that I have on YouTube, and
Yes.
that's what you were on.
Yes.
And, it's what I consider to be an informal, informative, and fun conversation.
Yes.
No stuffiness, just let's put that aside. Let's learn from one another. Let's teach one another.
Love
Let's celebrate one another because that's what that series is about,
it. Mhm.
celebrating the lives and journeys of women travelers. And that's what it's about. And over a cocktail, hello, how can you not?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So this series that I just started this month, I really want to highlight, especially like females, like
Mhm.
it's being an entrepreneur, like you're a travel. Okay, so I want to get into what you do, because
Yes.
you're unique. You're unique.
Oh,
You really are in many ways, and I'm just like, again, so happy to have you on.
thank you.
Travel is something that I don't touch on much on my content on my YouTube channel, because it's something I do focus on when it comes to my clients. Because as we spoke about on the interview on your channel, I do believe that travel is so important to having a budget. And so many people, when they think about budgeting, they think about, paying off debt, like finding out where your money's going,
Mhm.
and reaching like an emergency fund. But it's so much more than that, and having an ultimate goal, in my opinion, is really helps you stay motivated when it comes to your finances. and
Mhm.
and my clients have never budgeted before, so
Mhm.
they're coming at it from a place of like anxiety and like
Mhm.
a negativity, before they start working with me. And so I like to bring that spark of joy, and to me, travel is my spark
Mhm.
of joy. So so I'm like, so again, yet another reason why I couldn't wait to have you on. So I'd love for you to tell my viewers like what you do and why you're so passionate about it.
Sure. So, as Debbie said, I'm Natalie Martinez, the Gutsy Latina. I am a travel educator. I have been traveling since I was a child, but consistently for the last 20 years. I have been a solo traveler for close to 7 years, and a full-time traveler for the last 3 years. Which means that I travel the world. I hop from country to country, living and traveling and visiting and experiencing and learning and all of the good things. Travel has always been a passion of mine, which is why it's always been in my life.
Mhm.
And now I am an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 3 years, but I've been working since I was 16. I was an employee for a really long time. I worked as a corporate accountant for a really long time, and so I always, I budget differently now. But when I was working for corporate, for example, it was always a line item. You know, travel was always I had a separate account for travel,
Mhm.
because that's how important it has always been for me.
Yeah.
And so travel is it's education without having to go to school. You
Such
know,
a good way of saying it.
yeah.
That's such a good way of saying it. And I haven't traveled to as many places as I would like to be, but that's in the future for me. But the places that I have gone to, oh my gosh, they've touched my heart. It's like being in a place you've never been to, like it's like taking in the culture, the food, it's something that sometimes when my clients are like, when I say to them like, let's dream big, like what is your ultimate
Mhm.
goal, and they
Mhm.
tell me like paying off my credit cards, which is important.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, 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 like after, like like after that, like what do you want to
Hmm.
do? And travel is almost always like the next thing, and I'm like, yes, like that's exactly right. Because if you're not going to enjoy, like, if you're not going to enjoy the ultimate goal of financial freedom,
Yeah.
then to me it's like that whole journey at the end, you're kind of like, now what do I do? Well, now you travel. Like that's why I'm like, so a travel educator, you're the only one I know that's in that, like, I don't even want to say like genre or or
Mm.
niche like some people say, but you're, when I first started talking to you, you're like, I'm a travel educator. You totally like captivated me. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what, how do you help people? Like, I want to know everything.
Yeah, so I educate, I empower, and I inspire women to travel independently.
Love it.
I am what I didn't have.
Hmm.
And so that was always very, it wasn't always very important to me. Let's make that clear, because I have always traveled, and this was never a focus for me up until 3 years ago when I began traveling full time. And I said, you know what? I need to teach other women that they can do this.
Hmm.
And thinking back on my journey and why I began to travel solo,
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I can be someone that I didn't have. And so it really, that idea to become a travel educator really sparked 3 years ago. But I've always been doing it, one in one form or another, with family, with friends. But now, I am available to the public. I am building a community. I have my community, but I'm continuously building that community, because I think that it's an important thing. Travel is, when I am traveling somewhere new, or experiencing something new, or eating a new food, or learning something new, I feel visceral joy, like
Wow.
in my spirit.
Hmm.
That's how passionate I am about it. It's become my life.
Hmm.
And it really teaches you how to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, my husband and I we went to Aruba for our honeymoon.
Mm.
And that's like my ultimate retirement place, just because it was the first place that I went to that I was like, wow, like I don't feel like I'm somewhere foreign, but I'm in such a state of peace and joy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's the ultimate goal for us. It's like, I'm like, that's where I want to retire, but I want
Yeah.
to travel to so many places before then, but I understand when you said visceral joy, I'm
Yeah.
like, to me, my mind went right to Aruba. There's something about being in a place you've never been to that is just the stress of your life kind of like melts away, and then the food and the culture. You have me completely engrossed in this. I'm like, I haven't even mentioned the topic of our video yet. I'm like, I just want to talk about you and what you do.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you. Yeah.
definitely. So when we started talking about working together on this collaboration, you brought up that one of the things that you do is tips on how to budget. So I'm like,
Mhm.
like hello. so
Yeah.
so I love to hear like some tips that you have for my viewers on how they can budget on they can travel on a budget, because again, like if most of my viewers are either just starting a budget or have budgeted for a while. So this is something that I think would really spark joy in them.
And you know what? Travel isn't for the rich.
Hmm. Which is what
Travel,
people assume. People
people
assume
assume
that.
that.
Yes.
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 Hmm.
Um, quantity doesn't necessarily amount to quality.
Okay.
Just because you're spending more, or you think that you should spend more to have a better time,
Hmm.
it's not true.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important. Coming from an accounting and finance background,
Hmm.
money is very important to me. Personal finance is very important to me,
Hmm.
and being able to budget accordingly. I believe in. I love. So let's get into the tips. I think that that's
Yeah.
a better way to start, right?
Sure.
Number one, be flexible.
Yes.
Be flexible. And I know that there are certain things we can't be flexible with,
Hmm.
but I say to be flexible if you can,
Okay.
with days, with
Hmm.
times, with even destinations,
Okay.
with airports,
Hmm.
with the way that you book your travel. Sometimes it's easier to just book a round trip ticket, but it is sometimes more economical to book one-way tickets, one way there, one way back.
Okay.
The airport that you travel from and to,
Hmm.
matters.
Mhm.
And so taking all of those things into account and be flexible where you can.
Okay.
Whether it's the days, always try to tack on, especially if you're somebody who works full time or has a certain schedule,
Mhm.
always try to tack on the weekend, right? Have that be either part of your trip or be part of, for example, when I used to work for corporate, I used to always leave early the day before. I used to leave work early the day before, and I took off the day after. And I always included the weekend in my trip. But you can include the weekend as part of either your travel dates,
Mhm.
either traveling from or traveling to, your dates of um, arrival and what's the return and arrival.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so include the weekend, be flexible with your days,
Mhm.
if you can, your to and from, and airports and times. Sometimes you will find a better deal leaving in the morning than you would during the afternoon.
Mhm.
And so play with that. And there are sites such as Skyscanner, for example,
Oh.
that is great and something that I utilize often,
Okay.
because it's that site also allows for you to be flexible. You can choose for your destination, you can choose everywhere, and it shows you the prices for everywhere traveling from where you're traveling from, right? So you would plug in your from,
Mhm.
and then you can choose to as everywhere, and it'll show you everywhere uh, according to prices. So it could
Nice.
be, yeah, so it could be from low to high prices, right?
Mhm.
So you can do that. And it also has a feature, and I'm not being sponsored by Sky. I'm not getting a check, but hopefully one day I will.
But
So this is
hopefully
all
they see this
free information. This is all free information because I've used it for years and it works for me.
Mhm.
Um, uh, you can choose cheapest month. Cheapest month is actually a feature within
Oh,
Skyscanner. So you
okay.
can choose your destination if you want to go to a certain destination, and then choose the cheapest month. And you could do this in advance. So if you are working full time or you have a certain schedule, you can take time off in advance.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I never even heard of that site, so that's great.
Yeah, and then you can also look for last minute deals if you just kind of want to take a trip during the weekend, or kind
Mhm.
of, from one, because I've done it, from one day to another, say, you know what, I want to take a trip. And so you take advantage of last minute deals. So that's always traveling in advance,
Mhm.
will make it more, you're able to choose your dates and your destinations and your times and your airports and all of those things,
Mhm.
with more flexibility, but you also can take advantage of last minute deals. So
Wow. What a great tip to start off with. I'm like, I've
yeah.
never even heard of this. I'm like, I feel like I'm taking mental notes. Like, like
Uh-huh.
I did know about going in the morning. I did do that because I started playing when we just went for a trip to Disney, and I
Mhm.
really wanted to save on the flight because it's the five of us. And so I was playing around with the times, and so I got like a flight, and of course I wanted to stay there as long as possible. So I got a really early flight, and then I got a really late return.
Late flight, yeah, me too. I do the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I saved a few $100s by doing that instead of going
Mhm.
later on in the day. So I think our flight was like at 6 in the morning, and we saved a few $100s just by doing that alone. So
And you
yeah.
could do that just by choosing, for example, New York. Instead of, you can fly from JFK and then fly
Mhm.
into LaGuardia or fly into Newark if you have that
Mhm.
flexibility.
Mhm.
You could play with the airports because that makes a difference too.
Yeah.
And so having that flexibility, incorporating the weekend, whether it's to just kind of decompress from your trip,
Mhm.
or packing for your trip, or kind of getting ready for your trip, you could play with the dates, be
Mhm.
flexible with the dates, and try to, just take advantage of everything that you can.
And I love the tip about having that extra day before you go back to work. Like I did that, like, and it was the first time I did that because again, I always want to stretch my trips, like
Hmm.
be there as much as possible. But I actually allowed that one day because when you come back and the unpacking and like and
You have
everything,
to decompress,
yes, before you just go right to work the next day, which I've done before, and it's always like I feel so sluggish that first day back too. It's like ugh, and you're going back to like a mountain of work. So
Ugh,
I
I
love that.
know.
I'll never do
Oh,
that again. I'll
don't
never
even
do that
remind
again.
me of don't even remind me of that. I know what all of that is about. And so
Oh,
that's why
yeah.
hopefully these tips are very helpful for you.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next one. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the next one is I believe in supporting and hiring local. That is what
Okay.
I am about.
Mm-hmm.
I am about supporting the local people. You know, when you
Hmm.
travel to a destination, it is not only about taking, it is about giving.
Okay.
And being able to support and hire local means that you're giving back to the people, you're giving back to the country.
Hmm.
And you will also find that these services are less expensive than if you were to book through travel personnel.
Hmm.
And so that is a great trip, not only to give back, I mean, a great tip, not only to give back, but also to save some money. So hire local, whether, you know, there are a ton of free walking tours that are given by local people. And it also allows for you to learn the lay of the land. That is one thing that
Hmm.
I like to do when I touch down to a new place. I like to take a free walking tour because not only, and this, they're free, but you can give them a tip. You
Of
know,
course.
you can give them a donation,
Mhm.
which I highly recommend. And so they're given by local people, so you're
Mhm.
learning from a local person. You're learning the lay of the land, and it's free. And in many cases, there are other services that are just less expensive than if
Mhm.
you were to book with travel personnel, you know, whether
Mhm.
it's a resort, whether it's an agency, you know, whatever. And so I believe in supporting local. You can stay at locally owned accommodations, and you will usually know if this hotel is locally owned by their website. They will usually mention it in their about page. So again, you're giving back, and many times you are saving money. And going back to the free walking tour,
Mhm.
um, it's an activity. You know, you're learning the lay of the land. Many times you're learning about the culture. You're learning about the history,
Mhm.
and so you're definitely getting something, right?
Mhm.
But you're also giving back.
That I love that. Like I love that. And it's like an outside of the box tip too. Like you wouldn't think of like that being something to take into consideration, but I love that and the giving back. Absolutely. Absolutely. A walking tour I went on a cruise to Puerto Rico, which
Hmm.
is so beautiful, my goodness. And I
Hmm.
remember that they did a walking tour. Like you could take a vehicle and I was like, I just want to walk. Like I just want to like absorb the culture, and it
Yes.
was by people that are it wasn't something like from the cruise ship. It was something local and there was just some genuineness to it. Not only what did you learn the history, but you saw the passion in the person that was like walking you around and talking to you about it. So you brought me back to that when you said that. Like it was definitely something I'll never forget.
And
Definitely.
that's what you're going to get. You're going to get authenticity. You're going to
Mhm.
get passion. You're going
Yes.
to get someone who wants to show you where they're from.
Yes.
Um, you are, and you're also going to pour into someone, right? Whether
Mhm.
financially, whether they get to learn from you.
Mhm.
You know, they get to learn about your culture as well because you build relationships that way. You get to talking. I love, you know, talking and getting to know people. And if I'm on on a local tour, free walking tour, I'm
Mhm.
always, you know, chatting about, you know, where I come from and, you know, my culture. And I
Mhm.
love to ask questions. And so you're engaging, you're immersing, and you're giving back.
And I learned something on that tour too that I'll never forget because something I didn't know. The pina colada actually was the first time it was made. It was made in Puerto Rico. I
Yes,
was
it
like,
was.
really? I went and I was even at the place that made it, and they gave you like little samples. It was lovely. It was lovely, and it was just
Yes.
there was such genuineness and warmth to that tour too. So when you brought me back there, I'm like, I love that. Absolutely. What a great tip.
And this
Oh
applies
goodness.
to everything. Travel rentals, you know, travel rentals. You know, I like to make sure that I rent with people that are local people,
Mhm.
not foreigners that come in and buy up space.
Yeah.
So I like to rent from local people. You know, these are just some tips to give back and
Yes.
also save some money because you're saving money at the same time. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, I'm like, oh my goodness, like you're bringing the fire. I'm like,
Yeah, and it's
my
authentic, which
viewers are
is
like, what'd she say? Rewind that.
yes,
That's why it's so important. You have to follow Natali on Instagram. You have to follow her YouTube channel. Like
yes.
this is like a glimpse of what you get on Instagram. Like I love your content too. Getting off track a little bit, but
Thank
I
you.
love your content too because you also post like like reels and from other people that travel to different places and I'm just like I get so immersed in your content sometimes. I'm just like you really definitely it's your personality that as far as I've known you so far, I feel like I've known you forever, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's you, Natalie.
It's kind of like you get what you get. Like
You
who you
do.
see is what you get from
Love
the
it.
very
And I
beginning.
love that. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not about people like, and it's just something like, some people that want to live like the Pinterest life and they're all like, it's like, no, you're so genuine in your content,
Mm.
and once you start talking about what you're passionate about, that's when I was like, oh my God, mental note, I have to ask you to be on. So,
Yeah,
and you're proving it. You're proving it. Look at these amazing tips.
thank you. Because it's not only about, I'm an educator and I want to pour into people, but I also want to learn from people and I also want to support people.
Yes, absolutely.
Supporting
Absolutely.
is important. Yeah.
Absolutely. 1,000%. So
And my third one would be um, when it comes to, some of the largest expenses when you're traveling is transportation
yeah.
and food.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there are ways that, again, with food, you can support local. Buy street food.
Mm-hmm.
Eat at local restaurants owned by small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is a way to really immerse yourself in the true culture of the country or the city, the destination. It's a way to give back, and it's also a way to save some money, right? Because not only are you supporting, but you are eating at local restaurants, which are not as expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are fine dining, because you can fine dine at local restaurants. You don't have to fine dine at an international restaurant or a restaurant owned by a foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
You can fine dine with local people. So
Mm-hmm.
if that is your thing, you like fine dining versus street food,
Mm-hmm.
or you like more of the medium, restaurants, which not too expensive and not too inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
You get the authenticity, you save a few bucks because they're not as expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to support. And so that is a way, so that concerning food. Or what you can do is cook one of your meals.
Okay.
If you're at a travel rental, cook
Mm-hmm.
your breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
or cook your lunch, or cook your dinner, whatever you prefer to do,
Yeah.
but cook your breakfast, for example,
Mm-hmm.
go out for lunch, buy snacks at the grocery store if you need something to pick on throughout the day,
Yeah.
and then go out to a nice restaurant for dinner.
That's
You're,
nice.
you're saving money.
It's
Or,
funny you had me at the street food, at the street vendor food.
oh,
Because
that's my thing. That's
oh,
my thing.
I
Yeah.
would love to. I mean, there is something to traveling and being able to like not make your own meals and go somewhere. Like it
Yeah.
depends obviously on your budget, but
Mhm.
there's something about like street vendor food. I'm just like when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds so good.
And I'm giving you ways that you can save money
Yeah.
while still giving back, and it's still being an authentic experience, which is what I'm about.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so if you don't want to do anything and you
Mhm.
don't want to cook,
Mhm.
then stay somewhere where breakfast is included.
That's a great tip. Absolutely. Especially I mean if it's no matter where your budget is, like whether you are traveling by yourself or whether you are traveling with kids. Like my teenagers can eat me out of house and home. So,
Yeah.
so if I can get
Yes.
breakfast, if I can get a continental breakfast, I'm like score. Like that's
It's
something.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
It's perfect.
I've looked at hotels that have provided that, and I'm like, okay, that's something because yeah, every bit counts. Absolutely, every
And
bit.
buy snacks. Buy
Yes.
snacks at
Uh-huh.
the local convenience store or at a supermarket or at the local market. Local markets are my thing.
Oh,
Another stop for me when I arrive somewhere is a local market,
yeah.
because that's where you really are able to feel the pulse of the destination. You can see what foods are local to that region.
Mhm.
You get to bump elbows with with native people. You get
Right.
to really have conversations and learn about them, and
Mhm.
they learn about you. I love a local market. There's ready-made food at local markets, so you can eat there as well. Or you can buy snacks and buy fruits or snacks to go,
Mhm.
and you're also supporting again the local people.
Mhm.
And so instead of buying snacks at different places, you can just kind of keep them with you. You have teenagers that again will eat you out of a house and home, and
Yes.
so keeping snacks with you that you've bought instead of buying at every corner or buying at
Mhm.
it saves you money as well.
It does, like when you said like food is a big expense. I think, I mean, I can't think of a place we've gone to where I've paid more for the flight than I have for food. Like that's not,
Yeah,
and flights are expensive, but that
yeah,
says a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. These are such great tips. But before I get to the one question I've been asking everyone on this series that
yeah.
I feel like brings out more of you. I want to ask you, where's your favorite place that you've been to that you just can't wait to go back to? Because
That's always hard because
yeah,
that's always super hard.
your passport
Because
must be completely like, have you gone through more than one
yeah,
passport? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my,
I'm on my second one.
mine's got two stamps on it.
I'm
Because
on
I
my
switched
second one.
passports.
But it's hard that because every place is special. Now there are places that I will not return to,
Got it.
and there are places that I will return to.
Mhm.
What I look for is I love the beach.
Oh yes.
So that is something that will always be top on my list for a
Yeah.
destination that I absolutely adore is
Mhm.
a nice beach or nice usually ocean. I love lakes, I love rivers.
Mhm.
Rivers are fantastic.
Yeah.
But a nice beach is always top on my list. Brazil,
Oh, yeah.
Colombia,
Mhm.
places like that.
Yeah.
Mexico has beautiful beaches. Um, a place that is rich in culture,
Mhm.
that has great history, that
Okay.
has fantastic food. I'm a big foodie.
Yeah, me too.
So it's usually, those places that I mentioned,
Mhm.
that have just rich. There's so many more. So narrowing it down to one is always hard.
It's
But
hard?
that's usually what I look for: rich history,
Mhm.
rich in culture, fantastic food.
Mhm.
I love art museums. I love to be able to learn about indigenous history. So just places like that are
Mhm.
just rich in culture.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
when you said beaches and culture, I'm like,
With
absolutely.
a great beach.
Yes. Has to have a beach. Again, Aruba. It was. I'll never forget the sand. There was like baby powder. Like I've never seen sand before, especially like in the Jersey Shore here. Like the
Oh
sand's
no, it's
completely
not
the
the same.
opposite. It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. So when I got there and I was like, I'm like, oh my goodness. I said to my husband, I'm like, I feel like I had like a pedicure. Like my feet have never been softer. I'm like, what is this? It was like baby powder. I'll never forget it. I was like, that's why I'm like, I have to retire there.
Yes,
I have to.
and where the people are nice.
Yes, they're so
That's
nice.
important. That's important to me too. Where
Mhm.
there is just great people,
Oh
friendly
yeah,
people.
that makes the whole experience. Absolutely,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So the one question that I've been asking everyone, because I feel like it'll bring out like something like it is like there's something about us when it comes, especially women entrepreneurs, like we're passionate when it comes to someone asking you this. I'm excited to hear your answer. So if you were to give like my viewers like one piece of advice, what would it be?
To do it,
To travel?
to travel.
Oh gosh, I
Just
love it.
to do it, make it a priority.
Yeah.
If it's something that whether
Mhm.
it's and we're talking about travel here,
Yeah.
and we're both passionate about travel. I'm extremely passionate about travel, and so
Mhm.
travel is important. And so I would say to do it, but whatever it is that you love,
Mhm.
don't allow life to pass you by.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is just basic, fundamental.
Mhm. Mhm.
We're all going to die, and that's the truth.
Mhm.
We all will transition one day, and you don't want to wait until you get to the perfect time or later
Ah,
on in life.
I want to high five you through the screen right now.
You
Yes.
can high
Yes.
five me
They're like, yes.
to do it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that talks is so much like finances. Like some people put it off for so long, and then I've had clients that want to retire and they don't know if they can,
Yeah.
and I have people that are in their 20s that just got married or in a relationship or want to get their finances right because they're in their first career. It's like there's something about finances and people that it my clients, they seem to like go through some kind of not life change, but something has changed in their life. Like there's been a pivot and they realize like now is the time. But what I always stress in my content is like now is the time. Like don't wait until you're about to move or you know what I mean, or about to start a new career. Like do it now
Right
because
now is the perfect time. Yeah.
time and your income are your biggest assets. But when it comes to travel, it's like, yes, we only live once. We only live once.
And health, because if you can do it now, don't put it off.
Don't put
Because
it off
later
until you
on, you may not
retire.
be healthy.
Yes.
You may not have, make finances is the way that it's not a luxury.
Yes. Mhm.
Money is vital, it's a necessity to
Yes.
live.
Mhm.
And so being able to manage your finances is important
Yes.
to be able to live the life that you desire. And
And
so
especially
health,
while you can enjoy it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like
yeah.
while you can enjoy it, just like with
Hmm.
travel. Like people think about like when I retire, I'll go to that trip I've always wanted to go to. But when you retire, like are you going to be fully enjoying it? Will you be able to go on that walking tour? Will you
That's
be able
right.
to really like eat what you want and enjoy it 100% like you would if you could do it now? Like that's something that procrastination is really big. Like it's
Yeah.
it's really big and it really holds us back in life financially to do something that would spark joy to us. And it's like, why? Like I know we're all busy people, but we need to prioritize what's important while we still can enjoy it fully. And
What's
traveling is
important.
definitely one of
Yeah.
them. Absolutely.
Don't live to work.
Yes.
Don't live to work.
Oh,
It's
such
not worth it.
gems, Natalie. Such gems. Yes.
Yes, because it's not worth it. It's not
Yes.
worth it. You have to take care of yourself. You need to make a living,
Yes.
um, but make the important things a priority
Yeah. There's a difference
and
between
do it
making an income and enjoying your life.
and enjoying your life, and make sure to do it while you're still healthy and while you still can.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
when you get, if we are blessed enough
Mhm.
to get to a certain point in our life later on in life, right?
Mhm.
When we look back, we're not going to say, "Oh, I wish I would have, worked more."
I wish, yeah, I know. I wish I would have
Wish
bought
I would
that
have.
purse. It's like, no, no,
Nobody's going to say
that's not
that.
what we say. No, that's not what we say. No matter how much a pretty purse was, like that's not what you're saying at the end. No,
That's
definitely.
not what you're
And I,
saying.
and I feel like we all know someone who wishes that they could go back in time and enjoy life more. I really feel like we all are touched with people like that in our lives, and that
Mm,
helps put things in perspective. It really
yeah,
does. So
it does.
I'm just like, oh, this has been such a joy. Okay, so I'm gonna link your channel down below, your Instagram down below, and
Please.
I wrote down your free because I didn't want to forget. You have a simple travel budget planner. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Sure. So all the work is done for you. I've done all the work for you. All you need is Excel, and plug in your information, and that's it. Start planning, start saving, and start tracking your expenses for your next trip.
Mhm.
All of the work has been done for you. There are formulas in place. All you need to do is plug in and start planning. This simple travel budget planner is to plan, is to save, and is to track your expenses for your next trip. And it's simple, it's easy to use. And so make sure to head over, and Debbie will link
Everything.
everything down below. So make sure to download it. It's free. It's my gift to you.
Right.
And yeah, make sure to head over to my website, my online home and hub for all things, NatalieMartinez.com. Follow me here on YouTube at the Gutsy Latina. My socials are I am Natali Martinez. And let's stay connected. Let's build community, and hopefully you get to learn from me, and I'm able to give you something that you can take on your journey.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Natalie. I'm just like, I want to incorporate travel more in my content but people don't think about that when they're managing money. And I'm so glad you dropped so many gems and I don't
Oh,
say
good.
gems. I'm saying gems because it's you. Like, I don't say that. I don't think in the 3 years I've had my channel have I ever said that word. I said it 4 times during this interview. But it's so true. Your message is spot on. It's spot on. Honestly, like we only live once. We need to enjoy ourselves. We
And
really
that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact. You know,
Absolutely it
we
is.
will be we have an expiration date. We will transition one day, and so we won't look back and say, "I wish again. I wish I would have bought that purse. I wish I would have put in more hours at the job." No one's going to say that.
I was gonna say that.
Travel,
Mhm.
learn,
Yeah, absolutely.
learn from other people, enrich your own life,
Yes.
because it's really education. It's
Yes.
really education. It's a way to connect. It's a way to open your mind. You will be much more compassionate, much more tolerant,
Mhm.
much more understanding of other people.
Mhm.
And you'll really learn that although we have so many beautiful, uh, beautiful, unique things about ourselves,
Mhm.
we all really essentially want the same things.
Oh yeah. And when I don't know about you, but when I travel, anywhere, like when I get out of the routine that is like your everyday life, and you go somewhere else, there's something like you feel like you've been like your cup has been filled. You know what I mean? And then you can come back and you can give more to your job and to
That's
your
right.
business and to
To your
anything.
family, to your friends, to
Yes.
yourself. Sometimes
Yeah.
you during those trips, you say to yourself, "Man, what can I do different in my life?
Yeah.
Because this feels great. I'm at peace here, but when I go back, it's a nightmare, for many
Yes.
people.
Yes.
What can I do to live
Mhm.
every day in peace?"
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Oh, thank you so much again for being here. I'm like
thanks for having me.
I hope every one of my viewers watches this and follows you. Like if you think this is good, this is just a taste of like the content, honestly.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Natalie. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right,
Bye-bye,
guys. Thank you
everybody.
so much for watching. Bye.